What does this mean for the function of St. Francis today as a source of interreligious inspiration? Because the center we're developing, and that you know so well, in Assisi, is there under his inspiration. So what teaching can he give to this future house of friendship and hope? In addition to always finding the good in the other, what other teachings can St. Francis give us?
Nowadays, there is, for instance, the ecological interest, because he is really a man who cared for the creation, not for utilitarian goals, but for the respect, the beauty of nature, for the respect of the creator of nature. So his canticle of the creatures has inspired the encyclical of our Pope, Laudato Si. So there is this teaching about caring not just for people, but also for the rest of creation. Another teaching I think is very important both for you, for other religions, for us. It's humility. Dante Alighieri says that St. Francis obtained such glory because he made himself little. In the interreligious dialogue and in any relation between people in society, we think we should practice humility, because every violence and aggression comes from pride.
Ego.
Pride, yeah. So St. Francis was really a humble person, not just exteriorly, but he had this sense that everything we have has been given to us. There is a maxim of St. Francis which I like very much. A person, he said a man, but we say a person, man and woman. What he or she is in the eyes of God, this is and nothing more. So religion should try to help people going beyond the appearances, visual power or status in society, and remember that what we really are is what God sees and what our conscience, our inner conscience knows.
The center in Assisi has as a theme prayer and friendship. So this is why friendship is so important, because friendship is a way for you to discover who you really are in the face of the other. A true friend won't try to prove that he's better than the other. We will be there for the other, be there with the fullness of heart, be there with humility. So friendship replicates on the horizontal level in human relations what you're talking about on the vertical level in relation to God. You are who you are, and you are that in the presence of the other. And that other can be God, and that other can be the other human being, the friend.
Yes, no doubt. Friendship has proven to be the best tool to build bridges, not just between religions, but also between branches of the same religion, because there alone we should not forget that beside the interreligious dialogue, there must be an intra-religious dialogue. There is no possibility of a unity, religious unity, unless we Christians try to put an end to our wars, Protestant and Catholics. And the same applies to the Muslims, and I don't know exactly, but many other religions. So there are different branches of the same religion. And interreligious dialogue can ignore this. It should foster, first of all, a kind of friendship, dialogue interior to each religion. Otherwise, interreligious dialogue can affect a portion of a religion, not all the religion.
Where does the Holy Spirit come into it? We've spoken in the past very often about how central the Holy Spirit is to your thinking and to your experience. How does the Holy Spirit relate to this sense of overcoming differences, gaining humility, validating the other?
Because the Holy Spirit is shared by every human person. So this is a common inspiration, the Holy Spirit. I am impressed by what we read at the beginning of the Bible. In the beginning there was heaven and earth, but heaven and earth were chaotic, till the Holy Spirit started hovering over the abyss, and from the chaos came the cosmos. I think this is an operation the Holy Spirit is continuing doing in the world, transforming the chaos, the linguistic chaos, the religious chaos, the political chaos, into some kind of cosmos, or at least less chaotic world.
What I understand from you is that that interreligious dialogue at its best is the work of the Holy Spirit.
Yes, no doubt. The chief actor in the religious dialogue is the Spirit.
That's very beautiful.
The Spirit, which has a different meaning for every religion, of course. For us Christians, Spirit is with capital letter, is a person. But in a psalm we read, let your spirit, send your spirit, everything will be created.
Psalm 104, yes.
Send forth your spirit and everything will be created.
So let me move with this to some of the concrete elements of the Assisi project. So we call it the House of Friendship and Hope. So friendship is an important theme. And hope is important, but hope is also important because for us, hope is the acronym of House of Prayer and Education. So we are inspired by friendship, and we are inspired by the reality of the prayer life of the other, as two dimensions of growing in the Holy Spirit and growing in understanding. So these are the two central themes, friendship and prayer. I'd like to ask you to reflect on how both of these go back to the legacy of St. John Paul II in his Assisi convenings, and then the following convenings that came after that. To what extent would you say that he laid the foundation for the friendship and the prayer as common ground between religions?
The second item is the more difficult, because precisely in the meetings of Assisi, it was apparent how difficult it is. Unless we reduce prayer, we understand prayer, being together under the look of some higher power. It's difficult to share words or texts. Or,
not to share, but to be inspired by the prayer of the other. I pray my prayer, you pray your prayer, but when I see the depth of sincerity that you have, that inspires me. When I see how deeply you recite the Psalms, I recite the Psalms better. So not to make a mix, not to make confusion, not to make syncretism, but to draw inspiration with everyone's authenticity in their own space under one roof.
I must confess that I am very weak about verbal prayer, personally, and I have less confidence, I must confess, in the
You're confessing to a rabbi now.
in spoken prayer, because maybe it's my deficiency in my life, but I have such a reservation about the correspondence between words and feelings, because the inner person and what he says. Of course, prayer should be a moment when we use words not to fight.
But silence is also a form of prayer, and your silence can be inspiring to me. I've been inspired by silent prayer. I've been inspired by mental prayer. Prayer doesn't always have to be verbal and public.
So you mean to see another person praying,
Yes.
this is inspiring. For me, this would be more difficult, but it's my my defect, not of the other. But I must say, even my community life.
You prefer to be alone?
Yeah. I try to participate in the common prayer, but I must say it means very little. As you know, I live in an hermitage. I have been living there for the last 15 years now. So my life has been affected by this experience of life. I am all the time alone.
I understand. I'm also alone. That's what they call me.
Alone, yes.
So let me look for a different approach. We presented this project to Pope Francis. We presented him with the Assisi vision, with the house of friendship and hope and what it would do. And we received a wonderful supportive letter, and you've seen the letter that
yes.
You've seen the letter that the Pope wrote to us. Why do you think the Pope was so supportive of this project?
He is very convinced, no doubt, that the future of humanity depends on how much we can open our horizons and share with others. So this is in the line of John Paul II. John Paul II was a prophetic in this move. And Francis is a person who is very much open. He speaks about a church in going out. This is a kind of slogan for him. It means that the Catholic Church must go out, not be self-referential. But this is a price for all religions. We must move to others, not try to attract others to us, to move to no doubt that the prayer plays a role, a major role in this project, no doubt. So I understand and I encourage you to put prayer as the way prayer is done in such settings is another question, because I remember the uneasiness which sometimes was there when all the leaders were in Assisi.
I know, I mean, Pope Benedict found a good solution. He sent everyone to the hotel room to pray alone. Yeah. But what happens when you do that is you lose a spiritual dimension, because then you only give the speeches and everyone prays in his hotel room, and we miss something from the mutual contact and inspiration.
This maybe is one characteristic of this project.
Yeah.
Something you must develop and try to show.
Do you feel this project moves forward the vision of John Paul II? In other words, with him having identified Assisi as a place of convening, friendship, and asking people to pray for peace, do you feel this project is an appropriate continuity of John Paul II's vision?
Yes, it's a progress in the sense that it is no longer a Catholic initiative inviting others. It's something which is now
interreligious.
How do you say?
Multi-religious.
Poles, different poles.
Yeah.
And this is a step forward, because, of course, if there must be a dialogue among religions, must not be some religion inviting others.
Right.
At least everything shared. So in this sense, there is this project means a progress.
So what would you wish for the success of this project? If you had to formulate your wish and hope for this project, what would you wish for it?
The blessing of the Lord. Because as a psalm says, unless the Lord builds a house, in vain build their builders.
The builders.
We should remember that.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry. Enough.